Resuming our recent survey of popular appealing chord progressions, I'd now like to cite some examples of what I and others have referred to as the major chromatic drop, which refers to a sequence in which you have a major chord and then the root descends chromatically, a half step at a time, to the major seventh, then a dominant seventh, and then it resolves to a different chord, while the third and the fifth of the chord remain stationary. Let's check it out. The major chromatic drop has been employed in many songs, probably the most famous and celebrated example being the Beatles' classic Something, for which guitarist George Harrison begins each verse on an 8th position C bar chord, followed by C major 7, then C7, which he then resolves satisfyingly to F. You could play the F here. So the moving line is so it's one bar in each chord. I think he actually plays that F, but if you want to stay true to that, you'll go C, C major 7, C7. A different voicing. It sounds very nice. And another great example is the song Waste by Phish, and begins with virtually the same chord changes, but in this case, guitarist Trey Anastasio employs different bar chord shapes in 3rd position and a quicker harmonic rhythm, which refers to the rate of chord change. So he's changing chords every 2 beats as opposed to every 4 beats. And he adds a simple but very effective sus4 type of embellishment to it. So he starts out with that C, or you could finger it like that. I do it like this because I'm double jointed in my pinky and I can hit that G note on the high E string's 3rd fret. So it's like C, there's your major 7, C major 7, C7, there's your dominant 7th, B flat, and then he does. So that's a very beautiful passage, right? Goes to F minor, which is a beautiful change. That's the subject of another column, borrowing chords from the parallel minor key. Another great example from the classic rock catalog is Bell Bottom Blues by Derek and the Dominoes, with Eric Clapton. And it features a similarly sweet chromatic drop. Here we're in the key of A, and we go to A major 7, A7, then that resolves to D, and then it goes to E. That's during the chorus part where it goes, I don't wanna fade away, give me one more day, please. Beautiful, and I think another guitar doubles it an octave higher. Something like that. And another good example is the classic love song ballad, You Are So Beautiful by Joe Cocker. That's a half step lower in the key of A flat. It's a piano key, it's not a guitar-based song, but still worth studying, right? So that goes A flat major 7, A flat 7, then D flat major 7. You are so beautiful. Or you could play D flat major 7 here. Or you could do what I do when I play this song for like wedding ceremonies and stuff. I'll use a capo at the 6th fret, and I'll play it as if it were in the key of D, but because of the capo transposition, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this puts us in the concert key of A flat. So you can get this nice jangly D chord, D major 7, D7, and then you can play G major 7 like this. You can even get bits of the melody in there. Then you get a nice C9 chord in there, right? And other famous songs that briefly follow the same or similar kind of chromatic drop are Kodachrome by Paul Simon, which during the 2nd verse goes from D to D major 7 to D7, and then it resolves to G. Simon uses a capo on that, capo 2nd fret. And so he's going. So now we're actually in the key of E, so we're going da 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 da. So it's You can play the G like that, the folk G, so you have that. Or you can play, the rock G. Sometimes, once you establish that voice, that moving voice, you don't have to necessarily follow through on that last note because your mind's ear kind of fills in the. Even though I went up, I went from. Because I happen to like that voicing better. There's no rules. Whatever sounds good, right? Another absolutely classic example of this move is the beginning to the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin, which Jimmy Page, apparently, legend has it, it was inspired by a dare or a bet from George Harrison, the Beatles, said, you guys need a beautiful love song in your repertoire, like something. So Page, never to be outdone, or by his critics or anybody, said he set out to write a beautiful song, and boy, he did. He used a very unusual tuning, which I don't think has been used in any other song that I know of. But in standard tuning, he starts out with like G5, and then G major 7, note 3, and then G7, note 3, but then he goes E flat over G. Wow, isn't that beautiful? So he's not resolving the way it typically resolves. He starts off like something, only for the first 3 chords, and then he completely goes into different territory. And so he plays it in a, like I said, unusual tuning. I think it's D, G, C, G, C, D. And then the live version, he does it up a whole step for some interesting reason. And he uses these 2-finger shapes where you have a lot of unisons and drones and octaves. That's part of the Jimmy Page magic. But in this case, you can emulate that and then go. A little tricky to get into that voicing. And then blissful G sus2 to G like that. Coming back to the Beatles, Sir Paul McCartney used the major chromatic drop beautifully in Mother Nature's Son, that nice finger-picked folk song, I believe from the White Album. And it's in the, after the, that part, he goes D, D major 7th, D7, and then that's D13, and then G over D, and then G minor over D, and then back to D. Very beautiful. I mean, just by itself. And of course, he used his own idiosyncratic finger-picking pattern on like that in songs like Blackbird, where he strums with the thumb and then brushes up with the index finger. And later on with Wings, Paul McCartney and Wings, he used it for the live ending of Maybe I'm Amazed. The studio version just kind of fades out. It keeps going in a circle and it fades out. The live version, of course, you have to come up with a live ending, right? So that's actually like A over D, or you can think of it as D major 9. You can think of that as A minor over D, but the basic same kind of chromatic drop. He's going for the 13 again, then the sus4, and he has this Mozart-like trill off the root to the 9th, so it's the classical style ending. Another golden oldie that uses this major chromatic drop, sorry, these are just great examples I can think of off the top of my head. They're kind of timeless, is Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel. And capo 3rd fret in this case, but we're thinking as if we're in G, and we're going G, and then B minor over F sharp, and then B diminished over F, and then E7, A minor. So that's the verse. What's interesting about that is that our major chromatic drop occurs in the bass, right? It's on the bottom, and you have common tones, right? Here's your 3rd B and your 5th D, and then very compelling harmonically and musically satisfying. The song My Way, famously recorded by both Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley, features this motion again. Sinatra's key, I believe, is the key of D, so it's da 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 da, and it goes to E minor. So here again we have the on the bottom. F sharp minor over C sharp, and then A minor 6 over F sharp. A little bit of a stretch here. You got a bar at the 2nd fret. You don't have to play the D string note. You can just do a bar there. Mute the D string with the underside of the middle finger, and just, if you find that easier. And then you can do the B7 sus4. That's kind of like a suspension from the previous chord. That's what the term suspension actually means, left over from the previous chord. And then that resolves to E minor. That's the chairman of the board's key. And the king, Elvis, his key is C, a little deeper. He was more of a baritone. Da, 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 da. That's C to E minor over B, and then G minor over B flat, da 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 da, A7, and then that resolves to D minor. So again, that's very nice, tugs on your heartstrings. And finally, a more modern contemporary song that utilizes this is Interstate Love Song by Stone Temple Pilots, mid-90s, early 90s. And in this case, this is interesting because this is almost a cross between the standard minor drop, the chromatic minor drop that we first looked at a few lessons ago, and the major, because the first chord morphs from a minor to a major. So in the verse sections, guitarist Dean DeLeo plays, first he plays C sharp minor. He actually lifts the pinky up to get the minor 7th in there. Then, again, we have the chromatic drop on the bottom. That's G sharp over B sharp. I know that's weird to say B sharp, but, and then C sharp over B. So now what started out as a C sharp minor chord, now it's C sharp major because you have this F note. Technically, it's E sharp in the key of C sharp. E sharp is your major 3rd. So you got da, 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 and then A sharp minor 7 flat 5. And then it goes down another half step to A sus2. And then resolves to E. So it's now, that C sharp over B, that's a finger pretzel twister. If that's giving you trouble, you can just do this. I find myself doing this sometimes when I play the song. I'll just bar the C sharp major chord there and then play the bass up there, or that's easier. So you can go. And then you can play the A sharp minor 7 flat 5 like that. Or you can go big jump, and then these are easy. A sus2 to E. And there you have it.